Shalom, everybody. Hello, and shalom, Lee Weissman. Um,
Oh,
um, Shalom. Hello. So this is Lee Weissman, and I am Lale Tuncer, and we are here as part of the charity Universal God Message of Peace. And today, our spiritual dialogue topic is going to be about gratitude. So we're going to be talking about what gratitude is, why it's important, how it can help us with our relationships with each other and our Creator, how it can help us get through depression, anxiety, and hopefully a bit about how we can become more grateful and the different levels of gratitude. So over to you, Mr. Weissman. um, what is gratitude?
well, um, interesting. I was thinking about this question this morning. The Hebrew word for gratitude
Mhm,
is hoda'ah, and it means, and that actually is related to the word that means acknowledgement. And I
mhm,
think at its root, um, gratitude is an acknowledgement of the good that is done for us.
mhm,
Whether or not that good is obvious to us. I think that's actually one of the, very often the good is obvious to us, and so it's easy to be grateful. It's easy to acknowledge that, and
mhm,
sometimes there's good which we do not see yet, and that's a bigger challenge. Interesting in Arabic, the word shukr, which is thankfulness.
mhm,
Um, one one etymology of that is actually that is from a verb kashar, which means to reveal something, um, which is the opposite of kufr, right? The opposite of which means to cover something, right? Meaning to say that whereas we can cover up the goodness that we're given, and we can kind of hide it, or we can reveal it. And so gratitude is really an acknowledgement and a revealing of the good that has been done to us, and to return that, you
That's
know.
beautiful. But so do you think that, because obviously sometimes we can feel grateful in our hearts for something that someone might have done for us or to God, and but we might not feel like we're very good at expressing our gratitude. Is it okay to just feel grateful in your heart, or should we be trying to express it at all times when possible?
Well, I think they're two different things. So, for example, I would recommend a simple exercise. Okay, a very simple exercise that somebody recommended to me, and I do it every day. Okay, I do it 2 times every day. So I'll recommend it 2 times every day. So 2 times every day, to be thankful,
Mm-hmm.
and as the person said it to me, from nose to toes. Okay, from nose to toes. So meaning your entire body, your entire being thankful for something. Now, do you have to express that? Not necessarily. So let's say for example, um, I go to a restaurant. I go to a coffee house, because I go to coffee house. Okay. And I go to the coffee house, and I order my coffee, and the person gives me my coffee. Okay. Now, for
I'm so
one,
sorry. Just one moment. I'm so
yes.
sorry. My dog seems to be choking. Just one moment, please.
Okay, yes.
It's okay. It's all right. Come on. Sorry. Heidi. Heidi. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
We saved the dog. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So,
Back to the shop.
okay, we're at the coffee shop, okay, and we get our coffee, Okay, we get our coffee. And for 1 second, 2 seconds, okay,
Mm-hmm.
take a moment to be really, 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 really thankful from your toes to your nose, right? Your entire self, to be really, really thankful to that person, okay, for giving you that coffee, for waking up and for waking up in the morning and getting themselves to work, and for and for being quick in their job and getting doing it right, and giving you something that you really need and you really want, and fulfilling your wishes and giving it to, and really, 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 really mean it. And it could be, and it could also, now you could be, if you want to, you can be grateful, right? You can be grateful just to the person who served it to you. If you want to go to a deeper level, you could be grateful for the farmer who, right, who the farmer who grew that coffee for you, and for the people who put it in the people who put it in the boat for it to come to come here to be ground up, and the people who ground it up, and the people, you could go further and further. And is it good to express that? Should we turn to the person and say thank you with all of our heart? That would be great if you can do that, right? If you do that, that's an extra level. But just the feeling of gratitude itself is already very valuable,
Mm-hmm.
right? The feeling of gratitude is very valuable. And even if you start out just twice a day, feeling that gratitude and actually just sitting with it for a couple of seconds, for people who do a little small something for you,
Yeah.
that's very valuable. And then if you start to then you start to express it, right? If you've actually allowed yourself to feel the gratitude, then that expression is going to be a lot, the expression is going to be a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a lot more real. It doesn't have to be overdone, right? You don't have, when you go to get your coffee, thank you so much for this coffee. Well, you're going to freak them out. Okay, we don't want to scare anybody. That's not nice. But but if you're able to say it with sincerity, really, thank you. That means a lot to people.
Is praying for a person a way of showing gratitude for them, like blessing them and saying God bless you? And
I think so. I think so. I mean, if the person, it also depends on, when it comes to apologies and it comes to thank yous,
Mhm.
a lot of it depends on the person.
Exactly, because people do kindnesses for other people for different reasons, don't they? So sometimes the person who's making you a coffee, they might not be wanting a thank you from you. They might just be doing it because that's what their job is, and they don't expect any thank you from you. They don't expect appreciation. There might be somebody who does it for free as a volunteer, who doesn't even get paid, who just does it because they can and they want to see somebody else smile, and that's enough gratitude for them. And there might be somebody who does it because they just want the person who receives from them, to be grateful to their creator, and that might be enough. That's the appreciation that that's the reason why they do it. So, if is it good to always try to show gratitude to other people, um,
I
or
think
should
people
is it enough just
enjoy, I think
is it
people
enough?
enjoy gratitude. I think
Like,
people enjoy gratitude if it's authentic, you
are
know?
we doing people a favor by showing too much gratitude? Because are we, or is it better to just in your heart be grateful to your, creator, and and to acknowledge that everything is from him? And is that a my question is, should we be showing gratitude to each other, or should we not be even expecting gratitude from each other?
Well, I think those are two different questions. See, when we start expecting gratitude, right, then it becomes a right? And it's like, how dare you not give me gratitude, right? And that becomes a whole different problem, right? We shouldn't be demanding of other people things
Mhm.
that we're not always able to deliver ourselves, We know ourselves, and we know that we're not always able to be thankful, and we don't always express ourselves. And sometimes, sometimes we're having a moment, right? I walk into the coffee shop, and my mind is who knows where, and I order my coffee, and the person hands me my coffee, and at that moment, I'm not, I'm not focusing on my gratitude. I may not even be focusing my gratitude to God, because in my case, the Jewish custom is we thank God for everything that we eat. We say a special prayer, and I'll say that special prayer. Now, when I'm saying that special prayer, am I focusing? Am I really saying thank you? Or am I just saying the words? Okay, let's say that day I'm just saying the words. Okay. So my mind is really on something else. And we all know that happens to us. So we shouldn't expect other people to be more perfect than we are. Right. So,
Because it can be hard work, can't it? It can be hard work if
sure.
everybody's expecting gratitude from each other. It can be a burden on other people to even receive presents and gifts because it's hard work spending time to do it back to them. And when you could be using that time to concentrate on your children or on other things, and and it's so could it be I think maybe we can talk about this later, the different levels of gratitude and the different levels of acts of kindness and what we expect when
I
we
think,
give.
I think we can be, I think we can be generous. I think we can be generous with our thankfulness without being greedy for the thankfulness of others. Without feeling like, okay, we need to ask other people to, to respond. Now, on the other hand, I mean, for people, who have children and people who have children and so on, is it good to teach other people, to teach your children to be grateful? Yes, I think it is. And is it good to teach other people to be grateful? Yeah, I mean, what we're doing now. I mean, I think the world is going to be a lot better, okay, if people are able to be grateful. If people are able, you know,
If we're able to give without expecting a thanks back, but we always strive to thank other people
right.
um to the best of our abilities, I think that's a
And
good.
also really to understand that um people are making, I used to say this to my students all the time. I used to teach kind of well-off students, and they were involved with a lot of like service industries. They had maids, and they went to a lot of restaurants, things like that. And
Excuse.
people who serve you, right? People who serve you um are almost always going above and beyond the demands of their job. The demands of the job are usually fairly low,
Mhm,
and they're going above and beyond that. And the only thing that you can give them back is a thank you, right? And a tip, right? And a tip is really just kind of a material form of thank you. But if you ask somebody whether it's more important for them to get somebody says to them, wow, your service was amazing. You were like the nicest waiter I've ever had, right? As
mhm,
opposed to giving them a bigger tip, I am sure 100% will say that those words are much more valuable than the $20.
mhm,
The we we all know how much other people's gratitude means to us, and knowing that, right?
mhm,
Knowing that we should want to give it to others.
mhm,
And the same thing goes with God, right? We should be able to look at the good that God gives us, and we should want to give back. It should be a spontaneous response.
mhm,
Now, if it's not a spontaneous response, that means we have to train it to be a
mhm.
spontaneous response. We have to teach ourselves.
Yeah, amazing. And to our parents as well, to show gratitude um, for raising us, and our teachers. I guess we show gratitude to everybody that we can learn from, everybody, everything. I guess it's like an infinite path, isn't it? Gratitude. We can always be more grateful. Um,
And it's, listen, when it comes to parents and teachers, um, there's a special obligation,
Mhm.
because the reality of what they give us is so obvious and so big, right? I mean, they give us life, they give us their teaching, they give us their values, they give us they share their virtues with us. You know, and you know, the material benefit that we get from them. So all of those things kind of add up to
Mhm.
something that we should be responding to.
Mhm.
And the greater the good, right? The the greater the good, the greater the response. Part of the problem is that a lot of times we're not paying attention to the good that we're receiving, even from our parents, you know. We think
Yeah.
of it as being our due, right? I mean, they're our parents, right? That's their job.
Mhm.
Uh, you know,
Actually, just carrying a child in your womb for 9 months, um, is a big thing to be grateful for. To be carried in a womb, in a in your mother's womb, and for her to give birth to you, and and the father, and even if all he did was get your mum pregnant,
yeah,
still that's something amazing to be grateful for,
yeah.
because we wouldn't be here without them. And so yeah, may God bless our parents.
My mother used to call me, my mother used to always call me on my birthday, and she would go, "Congratulations on your birthday." You know, she'd have happy birthday. And I would say, you know, I don't know why you do this every year, because I didn't do anything. Okay. This, you did all the work. You did all the work. I just came out, you know, and basically from then on, you took care of me. I said, this is really, I should be thanking you and wishing you my happy birthday, because I don't
Sweet.
remember it, and I didn't do anything, you know. Um,
Oh, God bless you. They're so sweet. Um, oh, God bless all of our parents. Um, okay, so let's talk. How can we talk a bit about how gratitude can help us out of depression and help us to prevent going into depression?
well, I think
It's quite obvious, isn't it? You either see the glass as half full or half empty, and how we do that is up to us. But let's talk a little bit about perhaps when you're really in that darkness and the gloom, and you're in pain, and let's say you're giving birth
Mhm.
and it feels like you're in hell,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be around, and you'd rather die. That's how bad it is. How can we say to a person in that moment, be grateful? And how can that person be grateful? Because sometimes, some people feel so low in their lives, and they do suffer with a lot of pain and hardship and loss. And how can
Well,
gratitude
first of all,
help?
you have to know when to talk to people. I'll say that, you know, there's a, the rabbis had a comment in the first century, from Pirkei Avot, where um, it says, don't try to comfort a person while their dead is still before them. Meaning, like, and don't try to calm down a person in the moment of their anger, right?
Mhm.
So when a person is angry, right, wait till they calm down a little bit to talk to them about it. If a
Mhm.
person is in mourning, don't talk to them about philosophical things about death and life and whatever until they've kind of the emotional side has subsided a little bit. And I think the same is true when people are suffering. You want to be careful about saying, you know what, you really should be grateful for what you have, because at that moment they may not be able to hear that. I think that speaks to sensitivity, right? To say, okay, maybe at this moment the person can't hear that. but when they can hear it, okay, when kind of when the acute pain is over and they're able to hear it, um, it can be a kind of training in optimism, right? In the sense that you can look and say, okay, yes, you're right. Okay. It's true that you've experienced this negative thing. Okay. We never want to try to negate somebody's experience. That's not fair and it's not nice. So we
Mhm.
don't negate their experience. Um,
Sorry. Yeah.
but at the same time, we can also help them to kind of look at their life honestly. Um, and look, I'm not saying them, me. Okay, I can do it with myself. I can help myself to look at my life honestly and say, okay, wait a second. So yes, it's true that this disaster happened. And at the same time, I have a nice roof over my head. I have all the bottled water in the world to drink. Um, I'm safe. I'm happy. I'm reasonably healthy. I have, I have the blessing. I have the blessing of good friends. I have the blessing of people who love me. I have many, many blessings. I have many, many good things. And and being able to be thankful for those things and to express that thankfulness because there's a kind of transformation when we express something, it changes something in us, right?
Mhm.
It's like when you make a promise, okay? If I think about doing something in my head, I think
Mhm.
about, I think maybe and I don't say it. The chances of my doing it are much less than if I say, I think today I'm going to go to New York. Okay, once I say that, now my energies, right, have been aroused and awakened, and I'm more likely to go and to do that. And so expressing something has a different power. So even expressing gratitude with ourselves and saying, you know what? Yes, I've been through this bad thing. I've been through this bad thing, and yet I have so much to be grateful for. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful. Great. And then even better to go to my friends, right? And say, I'm so grateful for you. I'm having a hard time right now. But you know what? I look at you and it's like, it makes me so happy, or to
Yeah.
or to talk to my apartment, it says, boy, it's a really cold, nasty day out there, but I'm safe and warm in here and it's wonderful. Thank you so much to my walls. Thank you so much to, you know,
So you're
um,
saying that to truly show gratitude, to confirm our gratitude in our heart, it's important to speak it and to actually bring it into our action, to confirm that we really mean it.
there was a rabbi, he was called the Kutzker Rebbe, and he only bought a pair of shoes every once in a while. He wore out his shoes. He used to wear his shoes. And when he would finish the pair of shoes, he would take the pair of shoes and he would wrap them up nicely in paper and he would kiss them. He'd go, and he says, shoes, sweet shoes. He says, you and me, we did so many good things together. If it weren't for you, I couldn't have traveled here. I couldn't have traveled there. He says, I couldn't have gone to the synagogue. I couldn't have gone, I couldn't have gone to do this commandment and that commandment. I couldn't have helped the poor. All these things I did all because of you. Kiss. And then he would put them in the trash, right? So you have
We can
gratitude.
be grateful to everything. You're right. To
Yeah,
our curtains, our cup. How would we drink without the cup? The cup.
right. And not only that, you know what? Okay, so I'm taking my cup for a second. So
Mhm.
how would I drink without my cup? And this cup, I mean, eh, somebody somewhere, this is from
Made cup.
Turkey. Somebody like designed this beautiful cup with all the colors and designs, and and somebody had to take sand okay,
Mm.
to take sand and had to transform the sand into glass. And I mean, like it's a whole there's so much work and so much planning and then somebody packed this and they shipped it and they shipped it to me and like there's so much went into this little thing I use so casually, just to drink my water, but it's huge and this is a project of like, there's like 20 people worked on this.
I
Okay.
know.
Then
And the
and
cup,
God made the sand.
yeah, exactly. And the cup is just by being a cup, it's being grateful to its creator.
And it's
And
doing exactly what it's supposed to
it's
do,
supposed to do it, yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
and
So
doing
this
it
is what
well.
we can learn about gratitude from a cup.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And
it's,
anything really.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, okay. Right. So I was going to ask you then, how can we truly be grateful if we don't if we don't experience loss? So I remember, I can recall a couple of events that happened in my life which shocked me,
mhm,
um and shocked me into gratitude, if you like.
mhm.
It was regarding my children, and and one of them I lost on the beach once, and it was just a nightmare for 30 minutes. And it's things just happen unexpectedly sometimes.
Right, sure.
I think I was complaining at the time about something little on the, and then this happened and it was a huge shock for me. And I was just like, gosh, what, forgive me, God, thank God she was safe and everything was fine. But, I thought she drowned in the sea and people were looking for her body. And then another thing happened with another of my children. And it's moments like that, and sometimes we just suddenly get news that we've lost a loved one, and we realize that we should have been more grateful for the time that we had with them and for them being in our lives and all the kindness that they showed us, and we should have shown them more gratitude. And
Mhm.
sometimes these moments shock us into doing it, but how can we actually really be grateful and feel grateful unless we experience loss in some form of another, whether it's health, wealth, or lives? How can the human being be grateful unless they can experience pain and loss and suffering?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there are two different things. I think there's a kind of like sometimes we do get kind of shocked into gratitude, like where um you see very often people who have been, terminally ill or something like that, where all of a sudden, like your priorities, shift, right? There's certain things which shift your priorities, things which seemed really important. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing how you can worry about very small things and then something really big comes up and all those small things are no longer important anymore. Things which were absolutely so concerning now, are I remember a few years ago, my mother got sick, right? And I was so concerned with work. And if I missed a day of work, I was busy planning to make sure and whatever. And my mother got sick and it was like, I don't care. Like,
It just puts everything into perspective,
right.
doesn't
It
it?
was like, this was
It's
the
important.
important thing. And
Yeah.
the rest of it just, I could care less. And it didn't, and everything got taken care of and it was fine. And I took care of it and it was, but as much as I would have worried about it, it was no longer important. So the same thing happens with gratitude. You, there are things which, you don't know to be thankful for until, God forbid, you feel like you're going to lose them, or God forbid, you feel like, you know, uh, uh, they're going to get damaged. So there is that.
Mm.
But there's also the possibility, I think, I mean, I can say from experience, the possibility of making a discipline of gratitude and, and making sure that you take a kind of inventory of your life, to pay attention. I mean, I think that in our conversations, the one thing that comes up again and again is like this idea of mindfulness and paying attention. Because if you're on
Yes.
autopilot all the time, you're never going to notice the good that you get, right? You're not going to notice the great things around you if you're on autopilot. And so,
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's always good to be mindful and always imagine, oh, what would my life be like without this? Or I'm grateful for this. But unless we've actually suffered that loss and suffered that um pain, how can we really, really, truly be grateful? This
well,
is the
how
thing. We
good
can
that
learn,
life is
we can
never
by
short of pain.
we can look at other people, who have less and compare ourselves, and there's that can help us be grateful instead of looking up to, and saying, oh, I want a bigger house, that my neighbor has a bigger house, looking at your other neighbor who has a smaller house and thinking, well, my house is bigger, so I'm going to be grateful for that. But how is that compared to um actually losing a house, being homeless, and realizing, well, actually, I've been there. I've been homeless. I know what it's like to sleep on a bench,
Right.
and I know what it's like to feel that pain and suffering, and the not knowing if you're going to wake up alive. All of it sounds
Right.
quite dark. Unless you've been there, the person who just compares themselves to somebody who has less, can they be as grateful as somebody who has actually been homeless?
Yeah, I don't know. I would, so I'm going to guess not. But at the same time, our experience gives you what it gives you, And the good news and the bad news is that all of us will suffer, right? And that all of us will have to decide um, what and if we learn from our suffering, right? There's no option not to suffer. Okay. There's no, you know, there's no button you can press that says, okay, I'm opting out of suffering, please. So I'm not going to take any. It doesn't work that way. There's no opt out on suffering. So everybody will have to deal with that. As far as, you know, other people experience, um, once I was complaining. I was having a very, very fetchy day. Fetchy is Yiddish for complaining. I was
Mhm.
complaining. I was walking with a friend at like 2 o'clock in the morning on the boardwalk on Venice Beach. And I was complaining about something, and I forget even what I was complaining about. And all of a sudden, there was this guy with no
Mhm.
legs on a skateboard,
Mhm.
tied to a skateboard. Okay. So I don't know if you can
Mhm.
imagine this scene. Okay. He has no legs. He's just a torso with two arms, and he's taped to a skateboard, and he's sliding like this down the thing, singing at the top of his lungs. Okay. I forget what the song was, but it was some happy song. And he was smiling and singing and scooting along. And I immediately like stopped myself and was like, yeah, okay. Like,
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, those moments. And I actually think the less we have, the easier it is to be grateful sometimes. Because, I've met homeless people. I was talking about homeless people, but I've met homeless people who are so grateful and so happy. And so, you know, they're happier than they might be happier and more at peace with themselves and more grateful than somebody who has everything they can wish for, houses, cars, anything, children, great relationships, but they're still miserable.
yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
it's
abundance is its own challenge, right? Abundance is a challenge because when we have a lot of something, right, it can become, when we have a lot of something, abundance of something, it can become much less important to us, right? Okay, you have one Ferrari, that's really great, but once you've got 10 Ferraris, the 11th Ferrari is not a big deal, you know?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people are living in the 11th Ferrari reality, right? That everything is
Mhm.
kind of like, okay, I have lots of friends, I have family, I have this, I have that, and a little more is not good. Interestingly, a little less our kind of negative bias, a little less, feels tragic to some people, but a little more, it's not. But if you only have one blanket, or you don't have a blanket and you get a blanket, that's like, that's a very big deal. Or, you
Yeah.
get a little extra, you know, you get a little, you get uh, sugar in your tea. My grandmother, my grandparents grew up in a little village in Romania, and like the fact that they could have sugar in their tea every day was like that was like they felt like they were kings. Like sugar in our tea every day, like that's, and to me, like that's not a thing, but apparently if you were in a little village in Romania and you could have sugar in your tea every day, that was living. Um, so
Oh.
simplicity, I think simplicity in whatever form
Mhm.
it comes, I think it can really can be uh can be
And
really
to
helpful.
reflect, while reflecting on what is important in my life, really. Actually, if we all reflect and ask us that ourselves that question, we will probably come up with this similar answers, which is, our relationships with other people, our children, our parents, our friends, people, and spending time with them is really what we really want and appreciate, but we sometimes forget, and we get distracted by, bigger houses, more
Right,
cars, and more
right,
things. And
right,
actually, unfortunately, sometimes it requires a shock of something to happen
right,
to remind us what really matters in life,
right.
and to be able to be kind to each other, to be able to forgive each other, to be able to show gratitude to each other is a massive gift that we have, and the opportunity of time that we have to spend that with our loved ones before it's too late to do these things, and to show gratitude to our creator, really, by using what we have to help others. And that brings me to my next question. So
Okay.
how can we be how can we show more gratitude to our creator using our blessings, gifts, talents, to the best of our potentials? How can we do this?
I think the first step is to really identify to identify what your gifts are. I mean, a lot of us never give a lot of thought, to what really are our gifts. What are we good at? What do we have? Like
Mhm.
what's the best of us that we can offer? In the old days, they used to give sacrifices, right? So imagine you're giving a sacrifice. So are you going to bring, you're going to go to your sheep and say, I mean, look, where's my ugliest, sickest sheep? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to bring the ugliest. No, I'm not going to bring the ugliest, sickest sheep. I'm going to go and I'm going to find the most beautiful sheep I have, the whitest, beautiful. It's nice and clean and healthy and whatever. That's the sheep that I'm going to bring as my sacrifice. And it's the same thing with us. We have to bring the best of ourselves, but we don't know what the best of ourselves is. So if I have a good intellect, right, and if I have a good intellect, I'm able to think, then I should use my mind. I should use my mind for thinking. I should use my mind um, for planning things that are in the service of God, for studying scripture and for being able to explain to other people and for teaching. If I'm good with my hands, right? If I'm good with my hands and I know how to build things, I should be building things. I should be building houses for people. I should be, building up the world, doing the physical things that,
Exactly.
you know,
And everybody's good at something, aren't they? I mean, we all have so much to be
everybody.
grateful for. Every human being has always got things that we could, if we went on and on about, the things that we could be grateful for, we wouldn't ever stop because the list is just infinite. However, there's special things, that gifts that each one of us has that really stands out. I think if we reflect and we look into ourselves and we ask ourselves that question, what am I good at? What can I do? What do I enjoy doing? And what can I give back to, help and to use to help other people with? And is it a waste for people not to hide that gift or talent and not to use it?
Yeah, I think that I think in a way it's ungrateful. I mean, look, if this is if imagine, and this is how I understand it. I understand that God gives us this gift and says, "Listen, I'm giving you this thing, and we're in a relationship with each other. And part of the relationship is that you're going to use what I give you, okay,
Mhm,
in order to make my world better, in order to serve me." Okay,
mhm,
I'm going to give you these things. So I gave you intelligence. I gave you skills. I gave you material resources, right? I mean, this is where charity comes in. I gave you whatever I gave you. And if you don't use those things, then
mhm,
that's a kind of ingratitude. That's saying, because that's the way you say thanks, right? When it comes to God, the best way to say thanks, I mean, we could say, if we could say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all the time to God, and that's very good. Okay. It's good to say thank you. It's good because we're human beings. That's how we communicate, and that's good.
mhm.
But the most
Higher levels
beautiful
to
way
actually.
is to do. The most
Is to.
beautiful way is to use your talent, say, this is the best of me. Okay, this is my beautiful sheep. And it says, and to bring that with me. This is I'm good with my hands, look what I built you, right? It
Mhm.
says, I'm good with my brain, look what I've taught, you know, and or I'm good at cooking,
I'm sorry. Sorry. My dog is choking again. Just a moment.
Okay.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Darling, it's okay. Choking. Okay. She's okay. She's all right now. Sorry about that.
It's
I
okay.
don't know. She maybe found something that she's chewing under the sofa or something, but maybe something spicy. I don't know.
I don't know.
She's okay now. So what about, obviously, what if somebody wants to use their gifts or talents? I guess we've also got a choice as to how we use those gifts and talents
Yeah.
and what our intention is when we're doing it. So the way I see it is that everything can be used for the good, to help other people and to help build our relationships and make peace in the world, or it can be used in a destructive way and destroy
Yeah.
relationships and cause harm to other people. And I guess have that choice, haven't we, to use it.
Sure,
One,
you
choose to
know,
use it or not, and two, if we do choose to use it, how we choose to use it.
if you have a hammer, you can use the hammer to build a house, or you could use the hammer to knock down a house. It's
Yeah.
God's basically given us, gives us tools. Whether they're physical tools or internal tools, that and we have free choice, and we have a choice of how to use those things. Now, however, like if I give you a hammer, okay, if I give you a hammer and I say, I want you to build me a beautiful house with this, and then I go around destroying houses, okay, then then we have a problem. Okay, that's an extra, and there the ingratitude has become another level, and it's become a kind of rebellion, right?
Mm. So it's
And
important
so,
to ask ourselves, what does our creator want from us?
right.
How does what not just he wants us to use our blessings and gifts and talents to show gratitude, but like how can we best show him gratitude using those talents? Are we going to, how do we best serve him, I guess, rather than
And maybe
ourselves? Like,
that's our next conversation, because otherwise we're going to go on for too long.
yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, it's a good note to end on, and a thought for reflection for us all. Um, that, you know, may God help us to be more grateful for the favors he has bestowed upon us, and help us to always reflect and be more aware and grateful, and to use our blessings, gifts, and talents to the best of our abilities to worship him and to fulfill his will. Amen.
Amen.